Hello, my name is Sheila and I would like to welcome you to my podcast All About You. I love to listen to podcasts and especially conversations with famous people. However, I think everyone has a story to tell. Maybe a place you have visited, a hobby you enjoy, or anything that you feel would be of interest. I want to have conversations with lots of different people and hear their stories. So if you have a story to tell, please contact me on my email allaboutyoupodcast@yahoo.com. I would like to welcome you to another All About You podcast. Today I'm speaking with Eamon, who is originally from Ireland but now lives in Valencia. And we are going to do a Q&A to find out more about Eamon. So Eamon, welcome to the podcast. How are you this fine sunny morning?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Oh, nice to have you. So we have a few questions for you. So let's see where we go. So first of all, Eamon, I like to put a photograph of my guests on my All About You Facebook page. And you have a wonderful line drawing photograph or a line drawing of yourself. How did you get that done? When did you have it done? What's the story of that picture?
Well, I used to be an English teacher, and as part of my English teaching career, I worked for a number of years in Korea, and I was working in a university there. And part of the university was a regular Korean university for Korean students, but they also had an international business school, which was mostly Chinese students. And I had a Chinese student in one of my classes he used a Western name, Bell. And he came up to me one day and he said, I would love to do a drawing of you. And the other students were saying to me, he's really good at art. And I said, fine. If anybody wants to make a drawing of me, go ahead. So he said, I'll take a few photographs. So he came in with his camera. He took a few photographs of me at different angles. I thought no more about it. And then he came in with this absolutely fantastic line drawing, as you've seen, in a frame and presented it to me in class. And it was absolutely beautiful. And I was kind of bowled away by it because I didn't expect such a result from it when he asked me.
That's amazing. So that really is a treasured possession for your time of teaching in Korea.
Absolutely. And it always reminds me of that school and that class and that student in particular.
Yeah, so can you draw, Eamon? Do you draw? Do you paint?
No, I'm absolutely hopeless. I doodle, but no, I don't draw. And I've never tried painting apart from art in school. It's a thing I'd love to be able to do. I am artistic in other ways, but no, not in that type of art.
So, Eamon, are you a big reader? Do you read lots of books?
I have a checkered history on my reading. In the past, I used to read voraciously when I went on holidays. And then when I came back into my normal life, I just didn't do it. And I remember one time going on holidays and I said, well, I'll bring my book that I'm reading at the moment. And when I opened the book, the book marker I had in it was my boarding pass from my holiday the year before. I realized I haven't been reading in the entire year. More recently, though, I have joined a book club. So that gives you a focus. You have to read the book in the month. But this month I ended up reading my book quite fast. It was a very easy book to read. And I've now started reading another book just to link between this month and next month's book club. So so much more recently, I'm reading a lot.
So the book club has really helped to sort of restart your reading process.
Absolutely, and I love it. At the beginning, I felt under pressure getting the book read for the end of the month, and I'd be a bit of a race. But now I've got much more into the rhythm of kind of just reading constantly throughout the month.
So do you read the paperback or the hardback, or do you read like the ebook on a Kindle?
I'm ebook on a Kindle most of the time. Originally, I got the ebook because, I love travel and it's much handier when you're traveling to just carry an ebook than a number of books. And also the fact that you can get any book you want But I have, been given physical books as well, or I bought physical books, and I find now I am so used to the e-reader that if I'm on a beach or something, the page that I'm not reading, the other half, is kind of annoying me. So I've now got to the stage where I'm actually more comfortable with the Kindle than an actual physical book.
I must admit, I mean, I during the pandemic, I actually acquired my husband's Kindle as well, so I've got two. And the reason I'm using his is because he's got, I think it's called the Paperwhite, the one that you can read.
Yes, with the light.
And that is fantastic. Yes, if I wake up at 6 a.m. or something and I don't want to get up, I can start going through that. So, yeah, I use his more than my own now.
For a reader, I think it's worth having a Kindle, even if your strong preference is to read a paper book, because I think particularly I got one from my mother and I said to her, look, I know you're never going to enjoy reading on a Kindle as much as you do, but it was, kind of, she liked to come over here to Valencia to visit me. It was Ryanair. It was like every time the limits on your luggage and the amount of money you had to pay was getting smaller and smaller. So the space she had for her books was becoming so small. I said, no, it's just for your travel. And I think for a reader, it's a useful thing to have in addition.
I mean, I remember, we had some friends that we had a conversation about having an e-book or a Kindle, and they said it will change your life. And Peter and I were discussing, shall we get one, shall we not? And in the end, we bought one between us. And I absolutely loved it. Pete's not a particularly big reader anyway. And then he bought his Paperwhite, I think, when we were at the airport, because, he thought, well, it's going to be great for travelling. I would not be without it. Absolutely. When you're running around on public transport, as you say, travelling, you've got 200 books on there or whatever. Or is that just me?
And how long the battery lasts on them, it's super.
So, Eamon, are you a planner or do you wing it?
A bit of both. I love winging it in lots of areas of my life, but for work and also sort of life important things, I do like to plan. So what I tend to do, I sit down once a quarter, like normally at the end of the quarter, like so, sort of December, March, June. I say in 3 years' time, so at the moment I'd be saying, in 2024, February 2024, what do I want to have in my work life and in my personal life, important stuff. And then my planning is for just the next 3 months. So I just go, what three really, kind of important things that I'm really going to try and get done these 3 months will just take me a step closer to what I'm hoping for 2024.
Man, after my own heart, with goals and planning and quarterly reviews and all that sort of stuff.
But on the other hand, in a lot of my personal life, I love to wing it and I hate over planning. And for example, which would be different from a lot of people, I love travel, and I have traveled quite a bit on holidays. I don't like to over plan a holiday. My ideal thing for a holiday is to have my flight booked and a hotel to go to from the airport, and then plan everything as I go. And if I like a place, I can stay a few days longer. If I don't like it, I can hop on a bus or a train and go somewhere else. And that's, quite, sometimes I've found a lot of my travels I do now on my own, because other people just don't like that. They like to know this is my itinerary for my trip.
Yes, I'm one of those people. I mean, when we went to Australia, which I think was probably about 6 years ago now, I think we had 2 weeks in Australia and a week in Singapore. The planning that went into that, because we were so far away for such a short period of time, I did not want to waste a minute. Pete was very good with that. He said, yeah, okay. And we both sort of looked, what sort of things do we want to do? And then we came together. Well, I found this and I found that. And it worked really, really well. I think if you've got a week's holiday, then you just want to go and relax, and absolutely fine. But I think if it involves a long distance, maybe a place you're never going to go to a second time, plan to a certain extent. But I must admit, I was a bit of a micro planning in that respect.
I would plan to a certain extent, in that I would know the places that were kind of like important for me to get to, even if I haven't decided when exactly on the trip that they're going to happen. And then as I'm going through the trip, I go, well, these are the 3 things I still want to do. How am I going to fit those in? Or do I drop one, or do I add one? That sort of thing.
One of the things I discovered during the 12-week lockdown we had here in Valencia is on YouTube, you can put in the name of a city and you'll find somebody who will take you on a walking tour of that city. Sometimes they're with a narrative and they're telling you this is this and that is that. Other times they're just walking the streets of Paris or Amsterdam. And I think that is fantastic. I mean, I've been up the Eiffel Tower, I've been to Buenos Aires, all on YouTube. I've been on a narrowboat ride, I've been on a tour around a castle. Absolutely fantastic. And I probably would not have discovered these sort of things if it hadn't have been for something like the pandemic, because I love to travel and we probably do 2 or 3 trips to England a year. But yeah, I think that is something I've really got into, travel documentaries, that type of thing. Yeah. So no travel plans for 2021, Eamon, or are you confident we will be able to do something?
I feel we'll be able to do something, but I'm not certain. As soon as I can travel, really, I'm going to go back to Ireland because I haven't seen people in so long. That to me is just going home. It's not like travel, but that is the first thing that I'm going to do. And my next travel after that, if I can travel further, I think would probably be something like Morocco or North Africa, something that wouldn't be too far from here in Spain, but also a part of the world that I have never been to.
So you mentioned going back to Ireland to see family and friends. Is there anything else you miss from Ireland? Any foods, any customs, any traditions?
Well, I miss Guinness in a pub. The Guinness in an Irish pub is not the same outside of Ireland as it is in Ireland. I also miss live music, not necessarily like going to concerts or something, but you'll get a lot of bars in Ireland where people are just playing music in the bar. Just one table is a group of people who are just jamming together, playing Irish music or bluegrass music or just anything. So I miss that too. When I go home, I try to get an Irish breakfast in, normally my first morning, of a full fry.
So what is an Irish breakfast? What does that consist of?
It's not unlike a full English. So it's just all the ingredients are Irish, really. So it would be rashers, which we say for bacon, rashers, sausages, black and white pudding, fried eggs, probably that.
Do you have a special bread that goes with all this to mop it all up?
Yeah, well, the best is the Irish brown bread or Irish soda bread, which I love and which I even make here in Valencia. So yeah, that with plenty of butter on it.
And would this be sort of this typical Sunday morning? You sit down with the family around the table and you all hack into the Irish breakfast, or would you go out for that breakfast?
No, I would have it. I would have it at home. With family, but no, it would be rare. It wouldn't be something that people would do weekly. Nowadays, I think we just are so aware how unhealthy it is as a meal. So for me, it would be very much when I arrive home. We might do it at Christmas or special occasions, but no, it wouldn't be a weekly event.
So, Eamon, if you could have dinner with 3 other guests, dead or alive, who would you invite to your dinner party?
Okay, so
give you much thinking time on this one.
Well, the name that comes to mind, first of all, because I think whenever I've thought about this before, the first person always comes to mind is Nelson Mandela.
Okay.
There's something about his whole story, about the fact that, for so many years when I was younger, I was aware of this Free Nelson Mandela movement. And I was thinking, God, we know nothing about this man. Like, he could be a disaster when he comes out. And then when he came out, he was like the statesman that I was going, like, I've never known anybody in all of my life to be such an incredible statesman, and the way that he dealt with such a difficult political environment as he came out into. So, and that is one person. And if I think of areas of my life, I'm very interested in film and theatre. In film, I think maybe somebody like Matt Damon. Matt Damon seems to me like, I think he's a good actor, not one of the most fantastic actors, but I think he's a very good, solid actor. But I think he seems like good fun. And I think he seems like he's sort of normal for a Hollywood type.
Yes, I agree. I think you'd have a nice night out with him. I don't think you'd end up roaring drunken in the gutter. I think
Yeah,
you'd have a good, fun evening, and he's very versatile.
he is versatile, and I rarely see anything that he's in that I don't like him in, and normally I like the film too. And I just thought of the third person, just popped into my head, Stephen Fry. I adore that man. He is so funny. He is so interesting. He's much more complex than he seems. I've read one of his books, but he's got such an incredible knowledge. I think he would be, and I think they would probably, he'd be fine with Matt and oh, it's all male, isn't it? Didn't think about that, but I think he'd be fine with Matt and Nelson.
Yeah, no, I think you've got a
He is,
good
well.
group of people there.
Oh, if I had thought about it more, I think I'd have balanced the sexes more. But anyway, that's what I came up with.
I mean, I think with Stephen Fry, I mean, I remember years ago I found a documentary about him, and it's talking about being bipolar. And I
Yeah,
think it's still on YouTube, and I think it's
really,
it is so interesting because he came so close to taking his own life.
that's right.
And for somebody who is so talented, knowledgeable, I mean, I think he's just an incredible human being. You would have definitely a fun night out with him. I think he would take you somewhere absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Finest wines. You'd come away with so much knowledge after having a night out with him. So yeah, I think he would definitely be on my list as well. So, is there anybody you follow on social media that's in the public eye, a politician or an actor, a singer, or?
The main kind of social media that I use, and I use it as a consumer. I don't actually put information up on it at all. Is Twitter. I love following news, current events. So I follow a lot of people on Twitter. I'd follow a mixture. I follow a good number of journalists for just keeping up to the minute news. I follow a number of comedians. Yeah, I suppose a couple of maybe actors or people in the entertainment industry, I suppose, generally.
I mean, I guess Twitter is the quickest way to find out what's going on in time with the news headlines, because
if there's anything breaking, if I hear any sort of breaking news, the first place I'll go to is Twitter, because it's the fastest. You'll find out things on Twitter, and then you could be watching CNN. 10 minutes later, that news starts to hit CNN.
So, Eamon, I think a lot of people have discovered a lot about themselves during the pandemic, and then sort of been in various lockdowns. People have taken up hobbies that they had as a child. They've taught themselves how to play the piano or started learning the language. Is there anything you've learned about yourself or changed due to the pandemic? Anything positive?
I'm not sure it changed me as such, but positive. I have discovered that, I probably had a sense of this. Although I'm very much a people person and I love socializing, I'm also very good on my own. So I didn't really find the lockdown, even the severe lockdown that we had during the pandemic, I didn't even find that too difficult. I missed being able to go out and meet people. Now, I think it would have been different if we didn't have the sort of technology that we have now, that myself and a group of friends could say, let's get a few beers and go on to a Zoom call on Friday night or whatever. I think without that, I would have found it difficult. I feel that my mental health is quite good, because I think that's an area that I fully understand has been so challenging for a lot of people. But I haven't felt at any stage worried about that. And then on the social side, I remember we had here in Spain, as you know, we had a very severe lockdown. We couldn't go out even for a walk. You could just go to the supermarket. And when that lockdown was released and you could go, I think 5 people could share a table, and a group of us went for a paella down in Patacona. And then we went to an outdoor bar, like the terrace of a bar in Cabanel. And it was just the most wonderful feeling of release after such a strong lockdown, that we were able to meet as a group again. And I look forward to the the times that we're going to have in the future when we have the current restrictions lifted, and hopefully, permanently lifted, because the vaccine is the backbone behind all of that. On constructive things, I like learning a musical instrument. I did buy a guitar, and I have done nothing but tune it and learn 2 chords that I wouldn't even remember now. So I still want to do it. I'm determined, because I think the guitar is the most social of instruments. I played the violin as a kid. I was never good at it, and I played the piano as a kid. And the piano is not a very social instrument in that you can't carry it around with you. I think a guitar is a great instrument. I think everybody loves when somebody arrives with a guitar. I have not got very far with it.
It's been interesting on social media, though, hearing some of the things that people have taken up. It's been absolutely incredible. So, Eamon, what makes you happy? What makes it a good day for you? I mean, today we've got blue skies, the sun is shining, although we have heard this morning confirmation that we are in this semi-lockdown until the 1st of March now. So still our bars and restaurants are closed. We have to wear a mask if we're going to exercise.
Yeah, well, as I was talking about how difficult the lockdown was before, in that we couldn't get out. We can get out this time. We can go for our walks. One thing that always just gives me a lift is water. Water, be it lakes, rivers, oceans or seas. And we're very lucky here in Valencia to be on the Mediterranean, and we have a beautiful big beach. Closest one to me is Malvarosa, and every day, or practically every day, that's my walk. I'll go out at lunchtime and I'll go straight down to the sea. I'll sit down on the wall for a while. I'll read a little bit of news on my phone, but just to see the horizon and see the sea, that's something that gives me a lift. Beautiful scenery in general will do it. Like, I think, if I think back on places I've been, I get a lift when I think of a very beautiful part of the world that I've been in.
I agree with you. Being near water, I mean, I think it's been discovered by scientists many, many years ago. It just has a calming effect on you. Just, even is it taking a bath, going for a walk around a lake, spending time at the beach, absolutely, for your mental health. Yeah.
When I lived in Korea, I lived in a very like a city that was very central in the country, so it was nowhere near the sea, and the river was a little dried up kind of river. There was big bridges and everything, but the river was there, so there was really no water for me in that city, and I had a good life there and I had lovely friends, but I remember saying, I am never going to live in a place that's far from water again.
That's really interesting. If you realise how important it is to you, and that's one of your things you must have whenever you move somewhere.
Yeah, and since then, I lived in Colombia and I lived on the Caribbean, and I've moved to Valencia and I live in the Mediterranean. So I have done what I said. Good
way to do it. So, Eamon, can you give us a good piece of advice?
Oh, I don't know. One of the things I would say is that we can only work with where we are now. So whatever has gone in the past, whatever has got you to where you are, just put it aside, because all you can deal with is what's absolutely happening here and now, and the future, and the decisions that you make now will affect that future. So sometimes I think we can get bogged down with regrets, with feelings that you're not in the place that you wanted to be, that you had plans in the past and you're nowhere near those plans. Forget it. Just put all of that aside, because you're here now. And then actually, I heard a thing recently. I've started trying to get into meditation for about the 50th time in my life, but it seems to be working a bit better this time. But one of the things, the guy on the meditation, there's kind of the meditation, and then there's kind of like talks, where he just gives you things that really make you think about life and your place in life. And one of the things he said is that for really all of us that live in Western countries or anything like that, no matter what is going on in your life, there are probably at least 1 billion people in the world who would swap with you like that, because you have so much better a life than so many people on this planet.
That is totally, totally true. And I always think, although we may get fed up because we're not allowed our freedom we would like to have because of the situation, hopefully that will change. But as you say, there's always somebody that, for example, this morning we've got up, we've got dressed, we had a shower, we've breakfast. Some people haven't got clean water. Some people haven't slept in a comfortable, safe environment during the night. Sometimes we just need to think, we are so lucky, so blessed. And I think that is a fantastic piece of advice.
And I've got a fridge that I open and there's food inside it, and I've got a washing machine. It's as you travel the world and you see different countries, different places, different levels of standard of living, you realize just how lucky we are.
So my last question for you, Eamon. What question should I have asked you? Is there anything that could be something that people don't know about you, something you'd like to do in the future?
Well, something that people don't know about me, and you as somebody who's kind of met me at this stage of my life, may not know, but when I was younger, drama was my thing. Like my mother actually was a speech and drama teacher. I went to a drama school. Arising out of that drama school, we kind of formed a sort of a drama group, and I became the director of quite a number of productions that group did. And one of the people in the group, and I am actually the first person ever to direct him on stage, is an actor called Andrew Scott, and some people may not know the name, but he's Moriarty in Sherlock, and he's the hot priest in Fleabag. The very first time that man was ever on stage, well, he was a boy then, he was only 14, was I directed him in a play called Brighton Beach Memoirs by Neil Simon in a little theatre in Dublin.
Oh my God, Eamon, that is absolutely incredible. So have you done anything with drama and the theatre since you've been in Valencia?
No. I haven't done anything with that side of my life since I left Ireland. It was very much connected with the group of people that I was with and the group that we set up, the theatre group that we set up. And I found, I suppose you're living in countries where the main language is different. It isn't something, strangely, because it was very important to me, it's not something that I've really missed an awful lot either, but it was a very, very important part of my life in terms of my development. Whereas lots of people would have, their oldest friends would be the people they went to school with. I don't have that. I don't have friends still in my life that I went to school with, but all of that group, I joined the actual drama group because my mother was a drama teacher. We used to go to her classes first. So I was about 11 when we joined this drama school. And that group of people that were in that class when I was 11, still a huge number of those people are still my friends to this day.
Oh my God, that's an amazing story. And I think that's maybe something you should put on your list for the rest of this year, is to try and get back into it, or start a theatre group, or get involved some way.
Yeah, possibly.
Well, Eamon, it's been absolutely brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed the Q&A. Have you enjoyed it?
Enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it too. I hope people will find it interesting to listen to.
Oh my goodness, I think they will. I think this is definitely a thing we ought to do every so often. So Eamon, thank you so much for your time this morning.
It's a pleasure.
Send me over the picture with your line drawing, and we'll get that up for the podcast and get it edited and to go out. So thanks very much, Eamon. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. Bye-bye.
Bye. I hope you have enjoyed the conversation. Don't forget, if you have a story you would like to tell, please get in touch. My email address is allaboutyoupodcast@yahoo.com, and thank you for listening.